Tomorrow at 5:30, Governor Katie Hobbs will be joining us for her exclusive interview every 2 weeks. We will talk about Los Angeles, what the president has done with immigration raids. But right now, we'll do the same as it is Monday. And we welcome in Meghan McCain. Mondays with Meghan. Hi, Meghan.
Hello.
How are you?
Good. Thank you for having me. Very exciting to have the governor on
Yes.
tomorrow.
Well,
not nearly as exciting as her.
I'm going to ask you the same question I'll probably ask her tomorrow.
Yeah.
Was this an intentional manufactured crisis by Trump intended to incite protests and riots and violence?
Oh man, was it intentional? I don't think it was premeditated, but I think that he is amping it up for political purposes, if that makes sense. I think
fair.
that the riots and the reaction was natural in Los Angeles after the ICE detentions, but I think that Trump is amping it up and sending Marines in and National Guard to show, how tough he is going to be on rioters and that this is the lay of the land. And I think, he's a showman, so I do think he's doing it for dramatic purposes.
Yeah, I actually don't disagree. Now, I think there's political gamesmanship going on all sides, though. Do you see winners and losers in this?
I think the last election was a referendum election on many issues. And when you fine-tooth the data of what people voted for and why, for me, one of the most interesting points that came out was that 54% of Hispanic people voted for Trump and also support these deportations of illegal immigrants in the country. We're talking about just the Hispanic community. So I think that if I were a Democrat right now, no matter who you are, no matter how you feel about this, and I know there's lots of high emotions on both sides on this issue, the one thing that I think is always a lose-lose is spitting on the American flag, any kind of violence. I personally feel like waving the Palestine flag and the Mexico flag and spitting on the America flag is a bad image for your side. And I think ever since 2020, there's a real hesitation on many Americans' part, and certainly on mine. One of the reasons I have a lot of hesitation when it comes to Democratic leadership is there just seems to be a higher tolerance for violence and destruction on the left than there is on the right, as long as the reason that it's being done is within, the ideological reasons that they support. So, and it's a big loser. Anytime there's lawlessness and there isn't, control in the country, Republicans always benefit towards the end. So right now I give the edge to Republicans, but this is a fluid situation.
Fair.
Yeah, Mondays with Meghan. Meghan McCain joins us at 5 o'clock every Monday. If Biden hadn't let in 7, 10, 12 million people into the country, I don't think we'd be seeing this today, Meghan. Do you agree or disagree?
I totally agree.
Yeah.
I totally agree. And I also think, I always feel a little different, and I don't know if it's just like my background being raised in Arizona or just like my ideology, but even for me, I don't want criminals and gang members and rapists and people who have committed crimes over and over again in this country. I think you would be hard-pressed to find anyone who does.
Agree, yeah.
And I just think I don't understand Gavin Newsom's hesitancy just to say that. Because, again, I think we can all agree with that. Like, who would want a gang member that's, hurting people in their community? And I don't understand even Vice President Harris's statement. And I'm not talking about dreamers. I'm not talking about children. Like, we're talking about just the criminals. And the fact that so many Democrats have a hard time even saying that, again, I just think it's a politically losing situation.
Yeah, because I don't know what constituency they think they're pandering to. Because, like you even mentioned, in the Hispanic community, I guarantee you that number's even higher. The last thing they want is criminals in their community.
But what we're talking about, though, in L.A. is it all starts with, hey, I'm Donald Trump. Go there and round up illegal immigrants at Home Depot. I don't think that's right. I think that's a waste of time. And this started the ball rolling. That's why there are masked protesters and burning cars, and that shouldn't have happened. Don't get me wrong, but it's like, really? You're going to go to Home Depot first? That's what we're doing? I'm for deporting people, but not people at Home Depot. I'll ask you this, Meghan, because I've talked to some Trump supporters today. Do Trump supporters support rounding up illegal immigrants at Home Depot? I talked to 3 or 4, and they all told me no. They don't.
I mean, I certainly don't speak for all Trump supporters, but
Right.
I think the problem in these situations is everyone knows someone who, came here, someone I know very closely came here legally and became, a U.S. citizen, but she knows people who are not documented, who have been in this country for over 20 years and in all extensive purposes are, Americans and adding to society and all these things. So I think and I always think it's much more complicated for people who live in Arizona and California, Nevada, New Mexico than it is. It's easy for people sort of in Cape Cod,
in Wisconsin,
really interview with people. Yeah, to have these, it doesn't impact their communities in the same way. I think it gets more complicated when you're talking about things like this. It can get really complicated when you're talking about dreamers. But I think I'm so dovish on this issue. I'm wildly out of step with where with the vast majority of Republicans are. But I understand we're a nation of laws and people are committing crimes. But I agree with you. I just don't understand why you wouldn't focus on the gang members and people committing violent crimes first.
Well, I think the idea is to intimidate and scare a community. I got a text message from a friend that said a person I work with just raced home because ICE is raiding his neighborhood. His dad is a citizen, but speaks very little English. He's scared they will grab him and take him away. That's what this is in LA. That's what people are dealing with.
Look, all I know is that when it comes to immigration, and I sit in on a lot of polling, I have a lot of friends who work for, consulting groups, that this is a big winning issue for President Trump.
Right.
People are very angry and frustrated, I think, because of Biden's lack of control over the last 4 years. Like I said, it is a political winner for Republicans right now. Again, as we move towards situations like you're talking about, rounding up people at Home Depot, I think when you talk about separating families, I think when you talk about mothers and children, I'm always curious to see the images that are going to come out from things like that and how people respond. And I was telling a friend of mine earlier today that it's fine now, but this can go real south real quick.
Oh, yes.
And I don't agree with these protesters at all. I hate violence. I hate violent protests. I have a huge distaste for it and zero tolerance since 2020. And I think they're really hurting their message. But I don't see this ending. I think we're actually going to probably experience these protests all summer.
Well, and my concern is loss of life. My concern is Kent State. My concern is something that changes the narrative like that.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that's everyone's fear. I also, I fear for the lives of the police officers and ICE agents at the same time, they're being targeted. It's just an absolute pressure cooker of a situation. And I understand the rationale that okay, Los Angeles is saying, all these leaders are saying we are not going to enforce the laws. And the Trump administration is saying, well, if you're not going to do it, we're going to come in. I don't understand why we're sending Marines in. That does seem like an escalation of militarization that to me seems unnecessary. I am not on the ground. I don't live in Los Angeles, so I don't know for sure. But I don't like the rising up of we should be trying to diffuse the situation, not escalate it. And right now it seems like the Trump administration is just escalating things.
Mondays with Meghan. Meghan McCain is joining us. Trump wants the spectacle, and the reason is he wants the world to see this. He doesn't want people to come here. He doesn't want them to come illegally. So how do we stop people in other countries? Show them this stuff. Show them that they're not welcome.
I think people aren't going to want to come for the Olympics. Are you kidding me?
Well, I don't know. But
you want to go to L.A.?
No. But do you see what I'm saying? It's like when you put when there's something like this that happens. You're sitting in Venezuela and you're like, yeah, I'm not going there during the Trump years. I'll wait 4 years or I'll wait, whatever it is. I think that's one of the reasons that he likes this spectacle, Meghan.
I agree with that. And I also think twofold, let's not forget President Trump was president during the 2020 George Floyd riots. And I think handled it just horribly in a lot of different ways. I don't think he put his foot down and clamped down on it soon enough. I think he let it rage too long. Part of the reason I think also things in that situation spiraled out of control is because he didn't do enough. And I think now he's I didn't do enough then. I think it led to him losing in 2020. And he's I'm going to show you who's boss, and I'm going to be the, biggest military clampdown president you could possibly imagine. And neither scenarios are good. And I also would like to point out, I think Gavin Newsom is behaving like a child and is also it's really depressing. I lived in Los Angeles for about 5 years when I was younger, and it's a wonderful metropolis that should have great leadership. And what has happened to the city and the state in the past 4 to 8 years is really very tragic. And he has no business leading that state. And he sure as hell has no business running for president, which I think we all know he wants to do. And I wouldn't let him run my local dog catcher, let alone become president.
But both sides are playing to the fringe. And
totally agree.
Gavin Newsom's playing to his fringe, and they love it. They both want to see the other side stick a finger in their eye,
Yeah, but his Gavin Newsom side is less popular and has less numbers of people supporting it.
Fair.
Meghan McCain is joining us. Okay, so this is happening in California, a blue state. Will this happen in a red state?
I'm not sure, but I was told by someone who is close to this situation that they do anticipate it spreading in different cities throughout the country, for a period of time, that it's not just going to stop in Los Angeles. I don't know. I actually heard rumors that there was going to be protests in Phoenix. I don't know if that is accurate or not. A friend of mine texted me that.
There have been some protests, but I don't know they've been very large.
Last night there were people who showed up at the Capitol, but it wasn't.
Yeah.
Nothing. It wasn't
anything significant.
No.
I think it all depends how this is handled, honestly. But I hate this. I don't know about you guys. It makes me anxious, makes me upset, makes me sad. I hate everything about it, and I don't know. It's really very heartbreaking.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. This is not America working together. This is us just fighting each other. And I think politically, if we talk about it at the end of the day, politically, whether or not you like Trump or you hate Trump or whatever, he wins on this issue. And you're going to see some guy with a Palestinian flag, and he's waving it on top of a burning car. That's a big victory for Trump. And that picture is everywhere. And people who aren't really paying attention to everything that's gone on, because Trump, I don't like that he sent ICE into Home Depot. I think it's a waste of time. But at the end of the day,
they don't know that part of the story.
These pictures are great for Donald Trump. They're great. I mean, he loves it. Well, not only does he love it, I think a lot of Americans are like, yeah, I don't like the guy with the Palestinian flag on top of the burning car. No, we don't want that.
I don't. Again, why is the Palestinian flag involved in any? I'm always why? I'm what are we all doing? And then, there's rumors that Antifa is involved again. And I just, what I was once, I wouldn't even say tolerable of, but in 2020, I was much more it was so new. It had not really happened at that level in my lifetime. And I was I don't know what's going on. Do these things normally spiral out of control in the way they did? And keep in mind, I was living in New York and then DC, and it just, every neighborhood I was in got completely obliterated through those riots throughout the summer in different ways. And for me, I have no tolerance for this, because I know where it can go, and it's scary, and I don't want lawlessness. And again, you peaceful protest all day long in any way you want, but I don't understand what you think you're gaining on a PR perspective, spitting on the American flag and waving a Palestinian flag on top of a burning car. I totally agree with you. It's an ad that's writing itself for the 2026 midterms. And the Democrats who are supporting this or okaying it, it is it's like Lucy in the football. It's just say we don't support, violence of any kind.
How hard is it to say that?
Yes. Sorry, continue.
No, I'm just saying, how hard is it to say that? Just come out and say that.
It's a great point.
Meghan,
Megan,
thank you guys.
Really appreciate your time
today.
Thanks,
Megan.
When are you coming out here again?
Very soon, in 3 weeks, 2 weeks,
okay.
3 weeks. I have a big interview myself that has a date that got moved a few days, so I had to move my trip back. That I will love to come on and talk to you guys about, and I'll text you, and tell you who it is. In a week and a half, and I'm so happy as usual to come on your show. And I just want to give a shout out to my brother Jimmy, who was driving, and before he started driving, I texted him and said, "Turn on KTAR," and he did. So hello.
Hi, Jimmy.
Jimmy, all right.
Thanks for listening, Jimmy. Appreciate it.
Love the show.
All right. She's Meghan McCain, and it's great to have her with us.
Thanks,
Mondays
Meghan.
with Meghan. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you, guys. See you soon. Bye.
Thanks for watching Outspoken with Bruce and Gaydos. Tap to watch more from KTAR News and click the button in the middle to subscribe.